Guys, we back. JD's the Hawkeyes, right?
The third prime time,
The
like I think
Hawkeyes
right now.
trying to win themselves a championship.
Sir, episode 20. Hyped.
What's up,
I-90
though, guys?
Sports.
Me and
What's up?
my man JD are back. Episode 20. His Iowa Hawkeyes are trying to beat up
Trying to
them
stay involved.
trying to beat up Michigan there for the championship. So. But we're back at it. Me and JD are back at it. We got another loaded show for y'all tonight. This is we got a lot of good topics to talk about.
That we do.
We'll start off with we'll just dive into it with the NFL first. So some big games coming up for both teams, the Bears and the Patriots. The Pats taking on the Bills. This is a big game. This has major playoff seeding implications.
Huge.
But yeah, huge, big game for them. And it's going to be in some nasty weather. It's not going to be friendly up in Buffalo this weekend. It's this Monday night. It's supposed to be rainy and nasty and to be honest, I'm thinking that's going to go that's going to be in the Pats' favor because of the way that team is built. We are built to run the football. We're a run team first. So this crappy weather and this, nasty, heavy wind and heavy rain that we're expecting to get in Buffalo, it plays right into how the Patriots, like to operate. They like that smash mouth game, and they'll run the clock out on you at any given opportunity. So I wanted to we'll start with the offensive side of the football. Lately, Josh McDaniels and the play calling have been very good as of late. The stretch of games, the 6-game stretch that they've had for the most part, the play calling has been very good from Josh. He's been on his game. He's been on his game as a whole. He may have like a bad quarter here and there. But it usually it's usually no more than like a quarter where I just think there are times in the game where he just tries to get too cute instead of trying to stay more like on what's working, but he'll go right back to it. So it's almost like, but in his defense, the Patriots have had massive leads in these 6 games that they've kind of been playing in.
Big leads.
I think the last 6 games the Patriots have outscored. I think they've outscored their opponents 165-35 in the last 6 games.
It's truly amazing what they've rebuilt so fast. It's crazy.
That should be a major talking point too. That we should really try it like that. I think a lot more people should be focusing on that. Is they brought Cam Newton in last year. I truly think they didn't really have a plan for the Brady exit. Like they were hoping he would stay, and because Kraft, I fully believe Kraft wanted him to end his career as a Patriot. I really do believe that Robert Kraft wanted him to end his career as a Pat, and that when that wasn't apparent, me and you covered that whole story in nauseum. We followed it from start to finish, man, and it was. That when he exited, I truly think they were in a little bit of a scramble for a while. I think they were in a little bit of a scramble, and then they brought Cam Newton in, and it was a rebuild year. They had no money to do much of anything, and they didn't want to sacrifice that money towards Tom to try because they were going to try and rebuild the team. So they go 7-9 last year, and it's they win as much as they can. They won as many games as they could. It was going to be a rough year last year, and like you just said, what they have done and rebuilt and gotten this train back on the tracks as quickly as 1.5 seasons. One season in the first like 6 games. It took them to kind of redirect that ship and get it going in the right direction. But that's something that should be said, how fast they did it.
It's amazing to me that when Bill Belichick, in my opinion, sabotaged Tom Brady in the last season of the year, or his last season as a Patriot, he sabotaged him by not getting him any talent. And everyone keeps saying that they didn't have the money to pay Tom Brady, but from what I know, he didn't ask for that much money, but maybe it was kind of like a year-to-year thing. All I know is that now Bill Belichick wanted full control. He got full control, and it really only took him, what you said, a year and a half to get right back in the Super Bowl conversation, because that's what they're at. Here's the thing, man. When you can run the ball like that in this late in December, when you're running the ball like that, January, February, when you are running the ball like they've been running the ball, and if you can continue this pace playing defense, anything could happen. That's where I stand with that. Anything at all could happen when you're playing like that.
But that's funny you say like Bill sabotaged him, because like
he did.
For years,
did.
I mean, for years and years now, the rumors were that he's wanted to try and kind of, you know,
they still made the playoffs.
The rumors were that I think they were at some point there was a mutual understanding where it's like, let's just try and do it. You know what I mean? Let's just try and do it somewhere else, because it would add to both of their legacies. If Bill succeeded without him, it would add to Bill's, and if Tom succeeded without him, it would add to Tom. So they're both.
Yeah.
I mean,
they wanted to split. Both of them did.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you could tell that Bill, like Tom, was starting to stretch his wings a little bit. All right, I want some power. And Bill was like, the f you do. You are getting zero power. I'm having all the power. So he slowly was just like, all right, see you, Tom. You want 30 million? No, we can't do it. Sorry, bye.
But no, it's what that's a lot. Like, I could absolutely see that, where Brady was trying to increase his reach and his say a little bit.
That's what it really was about.
Bill's just not that type of a coach where he's willing to give that, because once you give something like that, I think it's hard to take it back. And he's
smart. True.
You know what I mean? Once you give something like that to a guy like that, it's hard to take it back. So Bill, I think ultimately Bill and the team made the right choice for the long.
It's looking that way.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's looking that way. It's starting to look that way. That's
for the long term.
I mean, it's hard to argue that Kraft didn't make the right choice in choosing Bill. At the time, I was on the Brady train. Obviously, I was saying Brady's the reason and I have said it for you. I'm like, Brady's the real reason, man. He's the real reason. And I do think to some degree that he definitely contributed more than a lot of people give him credit for. But Bill is still an incredible coach, and I think that like he's proving it more and more.
Yeah,
he just keeps proving it over and over every year.
But this season means, I think this season means a lot to Bill. I think it does. I think this season and like the next like 5 years, I think mean a lot to Belichick. I really do. I think they mean a lot to him, and the next 5 years mean a lot to him and his legacy. What the end of his career looked like without Tom, and if he's still continuing to win division titles and win at a high level.
It's a huge game for that legacy right here.
Yeah, that's what it's a big game. It's a very, very big game. But to me, all of these signs, the crappy weather, the crappy weather, the suspect, I think Bill's defense, I think the Bills defense is a little suspect in the run game. And I do think that the Patriots can succeed running the football on them. And if that, so getting back to like the offensive points, like the weather, definitely weather playing into this game. It bodes well for how the Patriots are built. Just run the football, run the clock out, and keep Josh Allen off the field. Keep him off the field and don't let him do damage. The offensive line for the Patriots has been playing very, very well, and I would expect that type of play to continue. Like I don't see any drop. This is a game that the O-line loves. Offensive linemen love these kind of games because the run blocking, dude, pass blocking's work for them. Run blocking, they just get to run a motherfucker's soul over, and they love it, Dude, when I was playing, I used to hate pass block, and I would do it because I had to, so I wouldn't get my quarterback killed, right? Pass blocking's not fun. Run blocking's fun for an offensive lineman.
It really can be.
Steamroll people, right?
Absolutely.
So
you
this
see a
is
safety right there, you just
you get to just flatten people, and it's
absolutely
the weather. Like there's a lot of just outside factors to me that add that are in the Patriots' favor in this game. Off big time offensively, they can rotate in Stevenson and rotate in Stevenson and Harris and keep them fresh, and just one of the biggest points for me on the offensive side of the football is long sustained drives. Like eat 6 minutes off of a clock, even if you come away with a field goal. That drive that you push down the field just took 6 minutes off the clock. That's a quarter. That's almost half a quarter. You know what I mean? Like it's I want to see them run it effectively.
absolutely.
And just eat the clock, because if Allen is off the field, he can't hurt you.
No, yeah, 100%. If you can control the time of possession, anything can happen in this game. And also, I feel like the Bills have been one thing. They have been incredibly talented, but they've also been inconsistent. And that's something that, and it's nothing. I wouldn't say it has to do with the coach. I'd say it more relies on the quarterback and the defense. The defense has been inconsistent, but talented. Not a bad defense. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just they've had moments where they kind of let things go and let things get away from him. And same with Josh Allen. There's been moments of inconsistency when it comes to his accuracy. One thing I want to hit on for the Patriots offense is, yes, I 100% agree with you on the running point. I've heard a lot the last few weeks about Mac Jones not being able to throw over the top, him having issues and all this stuff like that. I want to say something really quick about that. Dak Prescott couldn't throw over the top for like 3 years. Neither could Tom Brady. Neither could, I think, Russell Wilson. It takes a little bit of time to be comfortable doing stuff like that. It takes footwork, technique. And I think that Mac Jones, being as accurate and as efficient as he is, he's doing exactly what he should do. He's got a strong running game. He got a strong. They shouldn't be trying to go over the top. They shouldn't be testing things like that. Not that he couldn't do it. It's just I don't see the point. Why not play to your strengths? And I think Belichick loves that. I think Belichick loves having the young quarterback again, where he can just kind of dictate everything the quarterback knows. I think Belichick's getting off to this. I bet he has more energy coaching lately than he has in years. I bet that is a fact. I bet that's the case.
I think something this year refocused him, like or either that or he knew that, like, I refuse to believe that Belichick is not a smart enough coach to realize that last year was going to be tough. Last year, when like I said, I really
Absolutely.
I don't think there was a real exit plan for Brady. I think that was one of those things where it was like, okay, we'll just address it when it happens. And I think they got caught with their pants down a little bit and had to go through a season and just kind of figure it out. But you know what I mean? Like I do think that's kind of what happened. And it's so Bill did the best he could with what he had last year. And they won as many games as they 7-9 is not like a failure of a season. Is it under 500? Yeah, but like it's not like they went 2 and it's not like they tanked and went and had 2 or 3 or 4 wins. They,
absolutely.
Bill is too proud to tank a season. He would never, when Brady left, me and you had talked about this too. He's too proud of a coach to do that. He would never do that.
No, he didn't need to. That's the impressive thing about Bill Belichick. He didn't need to tank a season to continue his success. And it also should be mentioned that he lost, what was it, 3 or 4 starters because they were not participating due to the I'm not going to say what it is, but you know what it is. They were not participating.
The old C-19.
Yeah, that exactly. I don't want to, whatever, get in trouble. But regardless, that for that reason, he lost like 4 starters. It wasn't just Tom Brady.
There was 9. Nine opt-outs last year.
Okay, I don't think. Dang.
Yeah.
So there's 9 opt-outs. Plus you lose your helm,
the most in
quarterback.
the NFL. The most in the NFL.
You have Cam Newton trying to learn a new system. You have Tom Brady just leaving a situation where he's been there 20 years. So Josh McDaniels has to learn a new quarterback, basically. And the quarterback he's also injured all the time. Cam Newton should be noted. He's always injured. It's not his fault. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying it's a fact. He's always injured. So that's another problem. And then you have this pandemic situation. So you have 8 people. What do you say? 8, 9 people opt out. Nine people opt out. That's insane. So you have all those people opt out. A lot of them being starters. So Belichick, and he still won 7 games just by being a good coach. Then he gets a rookie quarterback. He gets a relatively high pick, not really a high pick, but just like kind of in the middle, a middle pick in the first round. And he gets a moderate talent who is a smart kid, and he grooms him up real fast to the point where this kid beats out his old starter. He can cut the old starter, save $5 million. And, it's like cut Cam, save $5 million. I mean, Belichick is really, he's masterful, man. He's masterful. Like, it's truly amazing. And I feel like Mac Jones is truly lucky to have Belichick. I think if Mac Jones would have ended up in a situation, and I'm not disparaging Mac Jones, this could happen to anyone. In my opinion, AJ McCarron or Greg McElroy or all these guys, a lot of these guys from these winning schools that are pretty good guys, that are accurate, smart guys, a lot of them just ended up in really bad situations. They all could have been Tom Brady. And I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't earn everything. I shouldn't say they could have been Tom Brady, but they could have been a successful quarterback. They could have been more successful than they were, rather, is what I'm trying to say. Even Mark Sanchez, people like that. Yeah. If they had a coach like Belichick, is what I'm trying to say. Mac Jones is in a great situation, and I think that he'll develop really well. And I think that if he has the right attitude, which it looks like he does, then the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, he is a pretty athletic kid. He's not horribly unathletic. I mean, look at Brady, for real. So, no, it's a sight to see. I definitely think the Patriots, the sky's the limit. Think about this. Think about if Belichick became the first coach to win. Maybe this isn't true, but I'm pretty sure it's true. The first coach to win with a rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl. Has that ever happened before? Fact check me on that. I'm gonna look that up really quick, but I'm pretty sure that has never happened.
No, I think you're correct. He would be the first coach to ever win with a rookie. Yeah,
that would be something to chase too. If you're Belichick, just to check off the box. Like, by the way, I took this kid, Mac Jones. He won a national title, and then he won a Super Bowl with me. So that'd be interesting.
No, it definitely would. Another thing that kind of plays in the Pats' favor today, or I mean not Monday. That's gonna play in their favor Monday night is, when it comes to the play calling as of late, like we touched on earlier, Josh has been really aggressive, and I think if that continue, like he's no longer like feeling it's like, okay, let's take 3 drives to see what we got, and then absolutely just drop the hammer on it and go. And I think that type of an attitude from him in a game like this needs to continue. They need to. Buffalo right now, I think is like they're right on the edge of collapsing, dude. If we end this game, if we absolutely demolish them and beat them bad this game, that could be that could send them into a tailspin, because I think they're, like you had touched on, their inconsistencies. This could send them in a tailspin if we really do beat them bad.
Well, Belichick has, he has something to prove here. He's saying, you know what, you're never coming. This is always going to be my division. That's what he wants. That's what he wants to say to Belichick. But he does respect this. He knows this is a big game for sure. I would also say that the Bills, rather, this is going to be like a big game going for like the future of their division. Also, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, I lost it for a second. Josh McDaniels, he knows exactly what he has in Mac Jones now. That's why he's kind of more comfortable, I think. And also, they cannot pull their punches against Buffalo. You're right. If they can kind of just pound them like they've pounded the Jets and like other teams, really show them something, have a good game, or at least have a really good game against them, win or lose, a nice, tough, physical game, that would be a big statement for hey, we're not going anywhere. If you want to win this division, you're gonna have to go through New England. So that's kind of what I was gonna say. Sorry, I lost it there for a second.
Yeah. No, it's the AFC East is back to being interesting now. It's back to being interesting now,
Right.
because now Buffalo now it's us and Buffalo fighting it out again. It's they thought they had a cakewalk last year, and it's not going to be. That's the thing though. They took the division last year handily, easily, right?
Right.
It ain't going
It's
to
too
be
easy
like that.
last year.
It
Yeah,
ain't gonna
exactly.
it ain't gonna be like that this year. If they're gonna win the division, they're gonna have to rip it from the Patriots' cold dead hands.
The gloves are off. That's what this game has to be.
Yeah.
Has to take the gloves off. Has to be, especially in the snow. You're gonna have to get physical. You're gonna have to. Every hit's gonna be a little bit harder because it's gonna hurt more. That's the thing. Like it's legitimately going to hurt more. It's if anyone has ever played in really cold
weather. It's
weather,
not. Yeah.
yeah, that first couple hits are, what I mean, that's everything. So, if they're soft, then you're gonna have a nice, easy game. But if they're hard, it's not gonna be an easy game. You got to come out really, really hard. And I'm sure the Patriots know that. That's the Patriots have been doing it for 20 years, so at least, if not longer.
So let's swap it over to the defensive side of the ball now. For the Pats. They just like the offense. They got to come out swinging. They got to come out like you know what I mean. Like they have got to come out swinging, man. No back. They're in enemy territory. They're in they're in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
It's Buffalo's the home team. They got to come out. The defense has got to send a message that like you said, hit them, man, hit them. If you got a chance to lay a hit on somebody, hit them.
I think the key to the game, as far as the defense goes, is confusing Josh Allen. And he's a guy who is susceptible to being confused, but he's also a guy who's incredibly talented. So you have to worry about that. It's like is easily as many mistakes as he makes, he also makes ridiculous plays. So he really is like a guy where you get the best of both worlds. He might make a horrible fumble, horrible interception, but he also might make a ridiculous throw where you can't even guard it. So got to worry about that, or a ridiculous run. He's athletic as it is. I mean, he's like 6'6" and ridiculously athletic. He's a freak. So got to watch out for that too.
Josh Allen's no slouch, dude. He is no slouch. He is a good
big
quarterback. He really is. He's a good quarterback. That was going to be my next talking point, is the defensive. We have got to keep him in the pocket. Because he, like you said, if he gets outside the pocket, that's where he does a lot of his damage, whether it's with his legs, running the football, or just he's very good at ad-libbing and throwing on the run, and just like you said, making ridiculous throws across his body, accurate throws to receivers on a broken play. He's really good at that, and the Pats have got to do everything that they can to keep him in the pocket, because I think the interior defensive line can collapse the pocket fast enough, where I just think that the interior line can do their job and collapse that pocket if they can hold him in it.
That will be the key for sure. It will be controlling Josh Allen and then controlling the time of possession on offense. But yeah, the defense has gotta control him, has got to limit him. And I bet I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to put $1 on it that Belichick has a little something for him. He's going to have some confusing, defensive back schemes where like, oh, they line up differently, they line up weird, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden they switch. I could see that from Belichick. He's always creative with guys who throw down the field like that. I've always noticed that. Like, you never know where his DBs are going to be. So that I'm excited to see that part of it for sure. See what Belichick has up his sleeve, because he's always got something.
I think he knows too I think he knows what this game means. If they win this game, if they win this game, they're going to the playoffs. Because all they got
That's true. That's definitely true.
Win this game, they're going to the playoffs, because even 100%. If they lose the next one to Buffalo, right? All they have to do is win one of these next two games in Buffalo, and they go to the playoffs. Seriously, that's because the rest of their games are layups. So the two Buffalo ones, and I think the Indy one, they're going to win too. But people are saying Indianapolis, but guess what? We're gonna, Indy will be fine. We'll take care of Indianapolis.
This is a big game, because even if you don't take care of Indianapolis, at least you got this game under your belt. Belichick is not like I was watching Man in the Arena, and it highlights a lot about Belichick's mentality. Belichick enjoys losses. He likes when people lose because then he can throw it right back in his team's face on Monday or on Tuesday. They can be like, "Hey guys, look at this, you suck." So I wouldn't be surprised if they have a big loss before the playoffs, but they make the playoffs. I don't know. I think that Belichick. There's a lot of focus going into the next couple of weeks. This is like probably the most hyped he's been in a while. I'm pretty sure, probably since the last Super Bowl.
No, it's dude. There's a lot riding on this game, like a lot. There is, especially in the AFC. So bragging rights in the AFC East, playoff implications, and just overall seeding. Like the Patriots are trying to hunt down that number one seed in the AFC, not just their division, the number one seed in the AFC. Because if they win one game against all they could go 6 and down the when we talked a couple weeks ago, 6-2 down the stretch was doable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's doable. It's probable, especially when they're running the ball like that. It's hard to beat any team when they run the ball like the Patriots do. So and they've been playing really good defense. Obviously, I know they've been playing defense. They've been having an insane amounts of turnovers too. That's definitely something and that's a direct reflection upon coaching and just the young DBs that they have. So this will be an interesting couple of weeks. And tomorrow, I hope it snows a lot. I'd love to see a nice old northeastern snowy game. Just like we've seen that. I like to see that over by you guys. I don't want it to snow by me.
The weather forecast, it's 85 to 90% heavy rain and wind. It's going to be a nasty, ugly game in Buffalo. Yeah, the weather bad. Is not. It's not going to be good, dude. You're going to see this is going to be a knockdown, drag 'em. It's going to be a slugfest. So keep it on the defensive side of the football for the Pats. If they shut the run down, and Buffalo really doesn't have a running game. If they shut the run down and make Allen have to just throw the football, Buffalo's cooked. Buffalo's cooked.
Right.
If they turn into a one-dimensional team, our secondary is going to feast.
Especially if it's windy, yeah.
They'll have 3 interceptions, at least. If Buffalo cannot run the football in this weather on us, and we stop the run, they're cooked, dude. They're toast. They have got, even if they're running it into a wall and not getting anything, like a yard and a half, 2 yards, they still have to run the ball, because if they let Josh throw the ball 40 times, they're going to lose. They're going to lose that game.
Well, if he does throw the ball 40 times and the weather is crappy and they have a good scheme and they have a good, that's going to be a bad game for them. So I think you're right. I think if the Bills have to get the run game going, and I'm sure the Patriots, I'm sure all of them know that, and that's going to be the focus of, going into this next game. It'll probably be the focus of the entire game plan, is just stop the run, and if keep Josh in the pocket, basically keep Josh in the pocket, stop the run. Basically, that's probably what I would think. For sure.
Yeah, they like it. The defensive and offensive lines are where this game's going to be won and lost. If the Patriots defensive line can get pressure on Josh Allen and keep him in the pocket and collapse it and get this thing, if they get 3 sacks, they're going to win this game. And on the offensive side of the ball, right? And on the offensive side of the ball, if the Patriots run the ball successfully, it's over. It's over for Buffalo. It's curtains for them. They're done. Buffalo has got to put the ball in Mac Jones's hands 40 times and see what the kid can do. Having to go through the air. But Bill's one of those guys where he's not going to let that happen. You know what I mean? He won't let Mac Jones in weather like this throw the football 30, 35 times. He won't. He just won't.
No, he doesn't want to embarrass. He doesn't want to expose him in any way, and he's probably. I mean, he might
setting him up for failure. When you throw a football like that in nasty, windy, rainy weather, you're gonna sail. 5, 10 foot. You're gonna sail 5 or 10 of those throws, and if they don't end up out of bounds, they could end up in the hands of a defender.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if it is rainy, windy, you're gonna have to run the ball. And I'm sure Belichick knows that. It's going to have to be a run-first situation. and run stopping situation. So yeah, the Bills, that's probably what they're nervous about. They have to run. They can't throw. Especially Allen, he only completes like 65 at best % of his throws anyway. So I mean, he can throw some really nice, accurate deep balls, but he'll definitely miss a few. And if it's windy, you can't sail that ball up in the air that long. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Is it going to be either a crazy game or a low-scoring game, one or the other?
Yeah, no doubt. So let's keep it to football here. We're gonna stay in the NFL. We're gonna go. We will go down the pike and down Route 90, headed into the Windy City, and let's talk about the Bears and Cards game coming up. So I just want to get your thoughts on that game.
Well, I mean, as far as I know, Justin Fields still has broken ribs, and there's no reason to rush him back. So Andy Dalton is the starter. This is all this is, as far as I can see, is an audition for everyone. Like, because we know who the future of the Chicago Bears franchise is. It's Justin Fields, it's Roquan Smith, it's David Montgomery, it's Jalen Johnson, and everyone else is kind of just, I mean, probably Khalil Mack too, but everyone else is kind of just auditioning, kind of like, see, okay, where do I fit in this situation, including
Who's
the coaches.
Gonna be here next year situation.
Exactly. And Andy Dalton is probably saying, I want to get out of here. I mean, maybe he likes being the backup for Justin Fields. And if that's the case, fine. You know what? He's not a horrible backup. I wouldn't mind keeping him around, especially at his rate, only $10 million. It's not too bad. But Andy Dalton is going to try to show out. So I assume that they're going to play, that Andy Dalton's going to play pretty well. I would assume. Now, is everyone else going to play pretty well? I don't know about that. I don't know if the line's going to hold up for him. I don't know if the run game will get going. We'll see. But I agree. I think you told me off script something like, or off camera, that if Nagy loses this game or something like that, this is a big game for him.
I put it in the script notes.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
So it's
a big game. Yeah, tell me about that.
Question to you would be, so let's ask it in here, right? My biggest question to my buddy over here, the Bears fan. If the Bears get blown out in this game and they aren't competitive, does Nagy lose his job?
I mean, it's been like that for the last 3 weeks. Everyone asks, "Oh, if he loses, does he lose his job?" And I think that maybe it's one of two things is happening here. Either they really are going to stick with Matt Nagy, or they're actively looking for his replacement, and he's just kind of there. And I don't know which one of those things are true, but I don't think that anything that happens next week will have any impact on that decision. I think that decision was made either before or after the Lions game. And what I mean by that is this. So I really believe that rumor that came out that if he lost to the Lions, then, and I really think this matters in Chicago. Like, a lot of people don't think this. They're like, well, you're going to look at the overall body of work.
Yeah, isn't that a division game?
It doesn't matter. It's the freaking Lions, dude. Like, you have to beat you cannot. We're the Bears. Like, you don't lose. So, like, we know, like, this is a known thing. So I really do think that maybe there's a chance, and I don't know if this is the case, but there's a chance that, like, it's like Rick said, they're not gonna fire him until after the season. So if they decide to fire him, they're gonna wait till, I think now they're gonna wait till after the season to fire him. But if they're not, then they made that decision based on the Lions game. They said, okay, well, even though we're down bad and we have all these injuries, we still beat the Lions, right? We're still going to beat the Lions under Matt Nagy. So that's kind of what I think they maybe thought. But if they didn't think that, then Ted Phillips is like, well, he's going to be fired, but at the end of the season, so we'll just look at the players that he drafted and kind of see what we want to keep.
You guys, the Bears almost did lose to the Lions. Like,
we almost did
lost to the Lions.
And that is, well, almost isn't losing though. So I think that they definitely, you know what I mean? Like, that is a thought process. It's like, well, they didn't lose though. It's like they did beat the Lions, and they usually beats the Lions. So I don't know honestly what Ted Phillips wants to do. Because you notice how I didn't say Ryan Pace. I'm fairly certain Ryan Pace is going to get fired. for how he handled the. I don't know about Matt Nagy, but I'm fairly certain the GM's going to get fired by the end of the season. I think that by the end of the year,
now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's the
Bears
GM
GM is
president,
Pace, right? Ryan Pace.
or he's the GM, not the president. Ted Phillips is the president. Pace is the GM.
So
I think he's
Pace
getting fired. I think Pace will be fired. I don't think Pace is a bad GM, but I think he handled this year so badly that they are going to move on from him as an executive, because yes, he did have a few good talent accusations, but here's the thing. Pace drafted Trubisky and traded Jordan Howard, right? Those are two really bad things that he did. And also Matt Nagy's the one that really wanted Justin Fields. So Ted Phillips is going to look at that and say, well, I like Justin Fields. Matt Nagy's the one who wanted him. I'm not saying he's going to make Matt Nagy the president, but he might look at like, okay, well, let's talk to a new GM, see if the GM wants to keep Matt Nagy.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That might keep him from getting fired. It's possible Matt Nagy might not get fired because of that, because if he made a few good decisions in that. But I think Ryan Pace is gone. I think Ryan Pace by the end of the season is gone because somebody has to have the axe for how bad the salary cap was handled, and who else is going to who else can get that axe besides Ryan Pace? The salary cap was just absolutely destroyed, and that's the thing. I do think he said he needed to grind the clock out to beat the Bum Lions. Exactly, but we did win though. Okay, highlights, we won, so you didn't lose to the Lions. I did say I remember thinking that like, okay. We cannot lose to the Lions. If we lose to the Lions, then I am out on Nagy. You're gone. But we didn't lose. Yeah, we had to.
I remember I text you at the end of that game.
We didn't lose.
I text you at the end with like 5 minutes to go, and I was like, if you guys lose to the Lions, like Nagy should, dude, they should just take Matt. If you guys lost to the Lions, they should go down there and take Matt Nagy's fob to get into the building, like right on the spot.
Out of here.
Yeah, seriously, because the Lions are terrible, dude. Like
it's kind of a pride thing too. It's like, all right, we can lose to the Packers a couple times when we're injured or whatever. We can lose to the Vikings, maybe. You can't lose to the Lions, especially when they're like 0-8. Like this is not the Calvin Johnson Lions.
So let's like dive into it a little bit. So offensively, what do you think? I take it here. So first of all, let's get one thing perfectly clear. I think you guys should just shut down Fields for the year.
Agreed.
You should just shut him down and just say, look, Justin, you're the future. Andy Dalton's just a backup. We are not going to risk your long-term health so you can get killed out there with no offensive line and no help. Like, no, we're going to keep you on the bench and just let you recover and be fine. And Andy Dalton can be the sacrificial lamb and just finish the season off how it ever goes.
Until his ribs are literally 150% better, like to the point where he's itching to get back on the field, then no, keep him on the bench. There's no reason to rush him back. We're not winning anything this year. We probably won't make the playoffs. I said that after week like 6, I think, because I realized like how disoriented our offensive line was. I was just like, there's no way we're going to be with this offensive line. There's no way we can even compete in our own division. Like there's just no way. So yeah, it is what it is.
The thing that's weird to me about that, it's such because me and you had talked in like week 4, and I remember saying like the interior. Me and you talked like week 4 about the Chicago Bears interior line, the center and the 2 guards, and they weren't like they were serviceable. They weren't like terrible, but dude, the offensive line, the wheels have fallen off that O line, all of it now. The interior,
it's a unit, tackles, like
it's all bad.
When Whitehair, it doesn't matter how good Whitehair is. If everyone else around him sucks, it doesn't matter because he'll have one guy and then everyone else is So like that goes back to why they need to fire Ryan Pace, because Ryan Pace looks at this terrible offensive line in the offseason last year and goes, it's okay. All right, fine. I'll just spend like $20 more million on the defense. Whatever. Who cares? And that right there is fireable. I'm sorry, especially when you're going to draft a rookie quarterback and do that. What are you, stupid?
Yeah, like, no, you just said what I was going to bring up to you. Like why, if you weren't going to address the offensive line in the draft, why draft your like next franchise quarterback? Because he's going to be running for his life.
Derp, like for real, like absolutely, that's ridiculous. Like, yeah, you did make the right choice, and I think everyone says that Matt Nagy chose Justin Fields. If that's true, and Justin Fields, I mean, he already has shown flashes of really, greatness. I wouldn't say like he's, Deshaun Watson status yet, but he's shown flashes of being really talented. So if that's true, it'd be hard for me to say, all right, fire Matt Nagy because he just drafted this kid and he's made it to the playoffs 2 of the last 4 years. I kind of want to give Matt Nagy one more year. If it were me, like gun to my head, it's my choice. I'm going to give Matt Nagy one more, maybe 2 more years. But Ryan Pace is fired.
You have a new GM. Like, let's say you get rid of Pace and you put a new GM in place. It's like, all right, let's see how Nagy and the new GM kind of vibe. And if they don't, then we'll fix that. We'll fix that problem at the end of the season next year.
And if the GM comes in, if you hire a new GM says, nah, Nagy's the problem. Fine. That's fine. With like if he wants to fire,
yeah.
That's
but that's
fine
what I mean.
too.
That's you have to test the waters and be like, all right, how does the new GM feel about Nagy? Does he think he can work with him or not? And if he can't work with him, you're out. See you later.
Then you're out. Bye. Yeah. You gotta find something new. I definitely think that Pace, and I liked Pace for a while. I did think that Pace. That's the thing. Pace is a mixed bag. I think he'll get a job somewhere else doing something, at least as a scout. He does have talent acquisition skills, but that whole like we said, drafting a quarterback in the first round, moving up to draft a quarterback, and just completely not addressing the offensive line, looking at that offensive line and saying that's okay, that's fireable. It's a fireable offense. So.
And not only that, like that's just common sense. Like
it is.
If you draft your franchise quarterback and from last season how bad your offensive line is, that's the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. Like, okay, you got your quarterback first. Now in the second and third rounds, get you some tackles to protect them.
You have to, or you have to pay. You can't pay for Robert Quinn. You can't pay for I forgot there's like two or three. You can't pay for Nick Foles. You should have cut him. What are you doing? You pay $8 million for Nick Foles?
They should have let Foles walk and use that money to sign an offensive lineman. There's
like 3 or 4 guys that are in the roster that are just like sitting on like a collective $45 million that you could have paid 2 offensive linemen for. Like that's $20 million in offensive linemen. You could get a lot of offensive linemen for $20 million a pop. Like, are you kidding? There's a lot of guys out there that are available for $20 million. You could trade for a few of them, but instead he looked at our guys, our offensive linemen, and said, "Oh, this is fine. Here you go, Justin. Good luck." Or here you go, Andy. And that's the thing about another thing to defend Matt Nagy. Another, coming to his defense a little bit. He wanted to start Andy Dalton. Everyone was against him. Even people in the locker room turned on him.
Me and you were questioning it.
Everybody was
when it happened.
And he said, this offensive line sucks. I can't put my rookie quarterback behind this guy's. He was right. So to defend him again, he was actually right about that. The kid broke his ribs. I remember
me and you did an episode. Me and you did I think episode 11. We were talking about it.
I was wrong.
we were talking about it and we were like, what is he doing? And the reality of it is he's
maybe he knows something.
He's trying to not get Justin Fields. It's funny how me and you talked, and we also talked about just the worry that Justin Fields could get hurt because of this offensive line. And look, he's got broken ribs.
And the guy and Matt Nagy was right, and it's crazy. Like it's hard to sit here and trash Matt Nagy or even say that he's the reason why we're losing. When he hired Bill Lazar, he hired Bill Lazar. Everyone's like, "Oh, Bill Lazar, make Bill Lazar the head coach." Well, who hired Bill Lazar? Matt Nagy did. It wasn't Ryan Pace. So that he's part of his staff. Everyone loves Bill Lazar. He's a great offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy's his coach. And then he also hired Desai, who's a great defensive coordinator. So Matt Nagy has put himself around good coaches. He was the only one in Chicago that was right about Andy Dalton putting him in. Nobody wanted to hear it. Everyone, including me, nobody wanted to hear it. He was right. And the only one who in Ryan Pace's people in the background, we're talking shit to the media that, oh, we'd love to see Justin Fields in and stuff like that. So Ryan Pace seems like he's the issue here. It seems like that Nagy wants to focus more on the offense and Ryan Pace wants to focus more on the defense. And it looks like Ryan Pace needs to go because we don't need to focus on the defense. We have tons of defensive talent. For God's sake, we need to get that offense fixed. And that's just always been our issue in Chicago. But, yeah. Rick says, I'm glad I heard this side of Nagy. Well, I'm just trying to play the advocate for him. I mean, I'm not saying he's innocent.
He actually
is wishy-washy.
Like me and you said, he actually made the right choice. He said, you know what? I am not going to sacrifice. I'm not going to use Justin Fields as my sacrificial lamb for the season. You know what? Mm-hmm. Andy, guess what, bro? go.
And it took the Chicago media raking Nagy over the coals for months for Nagy to finally say, fine, we'll give him a chance, or a month and a half rather. I guess it was 5 weeks. So it was a month and a week. But it took a while, they were just trashing. Oh man, Nagy's so stupid. We need a new coach, all this stuff. After like 3 weeks already.
No, the media for like a good 3 weeks was on. They were on him.
And I said a few things, so I'm guilty of it. And I really am. I can't even say. I'm just saying, I don't know.
So,
he's not innocent. He is wishy-washy.
We talked about the offense there. What about now? What's the Chicago D going to have to do to try it? Like,
is Kyler playing? I'm going to check.
I
checked at the beginning of the week.
If Kyler's playing, that's going to be.
He wasn't playing at the beginning of the week. I thought it was Colt McCoy.
They may roll with. I think they're going to roll with McCoy.
Questionable.
Yeah, so they'll probably roll with McCoy again because they're 9-2. There's no need to really push the.
They're still going to kick our ass. Here's the thing: we don't have a good offensive line. They have a good defensive line and a good defense.
Yeah,
we're screwed. We're screwed. We're going to get this. We're going to get destroyed.
And another thing too, Arizona likes to blitz. That's not a good.
Andy Dalton's not good.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad. I hope that the young guys play well.
What do you? Sorry for interrupting you, man.
No, you're fine.
Here's my thing with the Bears game. I want to see them compete. Like, don't get your doors blown out. Like, at least try. Like, don't just go in there and at the half wave the white flag. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I've never seen that from him. I've never seen. And I love the young guy. I love Roquan Smith. That's the one thing I can't bash about the current GM and coach. It's like Roquan Smith was one of their picks, and he's a very, very good player. He's become the leader of the defense. Like, as great as Khalil Mack is, everyone looks at Roquan Smith at the time of need, and he's been the defense. He's been the unit. The reason why we're even in games, he's been that guy. So I love seeing the development of him and Jalen Johnson and a bunch of other guys on that defense, the young guys. And that's what I'm saying. We don't need all these premiums. And I love Robert Quinn, what he's brought to the table. I love Goldman. I love Hicks. I love all these guys, but we can't afford it. One, we need to fix the offense, and we don't really need them, to be honest. We need young guys. We need Roquan Smith and then young guys. That's what we need.
To be honest, I would sacrifice Hicks for an offensive lineman.
All these guys, you know what I mean? Like, they're all like extra, all these commodities that we have. And
like this coming draft, I would sacrifice Hicks for a really good interior offensive lineman.
I like Hicks, but
like a guard, right? So, and then in this coming draft, you could draft Hicks's replacement, and then you could, on top of it, draft more. This offensive and defensive line in this year's draft is extremely deep. So you could easily,
that'd be cool.
You could use Hicks as a.
We need a fire sale. We need to sell off everybody, dude. Like, we should have done it at the trade deadline, in my opinion. Like, we need to sell off everybody.
Don't forget too, Khalil Mack, as good as he is, he tends to get banged up sometimes, and then you know what I mean. And
I think he's young enough. That's true, but I think he's young enough that we can get something out of him. And he doesn't. I mean, he does cost a lot, but his salary is worth. He's worth his salary, is what I would say. But a lot of these guys are not, and a lot of these guys are extra commodities that we don't need. So, like Mac. And I feel like Mac gives us an identity too. I definitely, I wouldn't mind keeping him, but I would trade him if for the right offer. He said, I guess if you want Bears news, you call JD. I definitely do read a lot of blogs. I appreciate that, Rick. I read a lot of blogs. I read a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, because I really am interested in what the hell is going on with my team. You know what I mean? I love these. I love the Bears, and I have for over 20 years. So, absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's going to be tough sledding for them.
We're going to get, even with Colt McCoy, I just think it's going to be a tough game. I think they're going to, I mean, I think the defense is our only chance. If we can cause some turnovers, we could be really competitive in this game and maybe pull off a win. I'm not saying I give up on the team. Like, we always have a chance with the talent we have on our roster. We definitely always have a chance to play spoiler, but that's what we'd be doing. We'd be playing spoiler. We're not playing for anything. So I'm hoping that we can maintain the passion and maintain the competitive edge. And you know what? if we don't maintain the competitive edge, then I will want to fire Nagy because you know what? He is on the hot seat.
If Arizona steamrolls you guys, that's not going to be a good look for Nagy too.
Oh, it's not.
It's just not.
Everything matters right now with Matt Nagy. Literally everything. Like there is a giant magnifying glass on him. I feel like Pace is gone. I feel like that's already like.
So
he messed up everything.
Like as soon as the season ends, that's going to be official.
They're going to do him some dignity. He'll probably resign or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. I think he'll get another job. I think he is like he's a charismatic guy. He's nice and he knows talent pretty well. I just think it's time for a new voice and maybe a new look at the roster. And that's Ryan Pace. He's messed up a little bit too much in my opinion. He's just made a little bit too many mistakes. So
no doubt, dude. It's like I said, it's gonna be tough sled. That's gonna be a tough game. Hopefully, you guys can at least keep it interesting. You know,
I'd love to get a few turnovers and win the game. I mean, Colt McCoy is not that good of a. I mean, he's obviously. I'm not trying to disrespect him. He's a great quarterback.
Here's the thing, right? He's a massive downgrade from Colt McCoy. From he's a massive downgrade from Kyler Murray, right?
If it was Kyler Murray, we're done.
But here's the thing, right? He's a massive Colt McCoy if he plays, which I assume he is gonna. They're not gonna risk Kyler because they're 9-2. There's no reason to, you know.
That's true.
So play Colt McCoy. Let Kyler Murray get healthy, right? Right. The Bears D, I think, could get to Colt McCoy at least once or twice. They could fool him, I think, once or twice in the game. And if they could get touchdowns off those turnovers, then that could definitely play in their favor. But they if it's Kyler Murray, I think that's a wrap.
Kyler Murray is one of the most talented players in the entire NFL. So I think, especially when his team's playing well, I don't think there's many defenses, period, that can do much about him. But Colt McCoy, you never know what could happen.
The Bears defense could confuse him. They could.
Never know. Sean Desai is a good defensive coach. So he said Rex Ryan will be the new coach. Hey, his father, Buddy Ryan, was a beloved Chicago fan. I'm not, the Ryan family is not. That wouldn't be the craziest thing.
So let's get away from the NFL a little bit, JD, but we're going to stay with football. We're going to go college now, the NCAA.
Okay.
The NCAA recently had specifically the SEC had a major coaching change. Ed Orgeron is out at LSU, and they have their new head coach. Now, this situation's really interesting because Notre Dame is really good this year, like really good, and they're playing like in a bowl game. Like they're going to be playing not only in a bowl game, but a major bowl game. In one of the top bowl games. They will be playing in one of the top bowl games, right?
Huge.
And LSU, their season's basically over. So they basically went to Brian Kelly and was like, "Hey man, how do you feel about coming down south and getting out of that cold weather up north there and coaching for LSU?" And he went, "Man, why not? Sure." But I think there's way more to it than just that for the negotiations. I want to hear your thoughts on it first, and then I'll tell you what I think. What a lot of the major factor was why he left South Bend in such a hurry.
So yeah, I definitely want to hear your side of it. What I will say about it is this: I don't blame Brian Kelly for one reason specifically, and I'm sure we'll talk about other reasons. But the one reason I wouldn't blame him is you can't hate the player, you have to hate the game. The NCAA is absolutely stupid. They're a bunch of morons. They don't understand anything about anything. They literally make rules that don't make sense to anybody. So this is what they did. They decided, hey guys, so you can recruit at the beginning of bowl season. So what does that do? The athletic directors are like, well, shoot, if I want a new coach, I have to have him at the beginning of bowl season. Because why? We have to recruit. Because recruiting starts at the beginning of bowl season. Therefore, if I want to get that high school kid that just finished his high school season and he's the best player, like Arch Manning or something like that, I have to recruit him right now. And that is ridiculous, because then you have Brian Kelly. Like, the NCAA just doesn't think about this. Then you have Brian Kelly leaving before his bowl game, just abandoning a bunch of kids and going to LSU. And can you blame Brian Kelly? If he didn't do that, he would miss out on, 10 recruits? You can't do that. You lose for the next 3 years. So you have to do it. The NCAA, just like everything else, just like the likeness situation, just like everything else they touch, they're the dumbest middlemen in the world. They really are. Like, this is why I'm much more of a pro guy. I like now I am a Hawkeye fan, full disclosure, but I prefer pro football and and pro basketball, mainly because the NCAA, if it was more open, if it was more chill and relaxed, but the NCAA has a giant stick up their butt and they just do the dumbest stuff ever. Like this is just doesn't make any sense. Like the NFL and the NBA, they have off seasons for this. They're like, all right, well, this is the off season. If I was the NCAA, like, okay, the off season starts when the bowl season ends, February. So now you guys can recruit. Go. And if anyone recruits before then, you get punished. But the NCAA is too stupid for that. Instead, they punish you for making YouTube videos because they're a bunch of morons. They really are a bunch of old, dumb, I just want to backhand all these stupid. God, they're so stupid. Anyway, that's all I had to say about it. The NCAA is stupid. This isn't Brian Kelly's fault or what's his name, Lincoln Riley, or any of the other guys that have to jump to the next job. This is not their fault. This is the NCAA. They're a bunch of idiots, and they don't think. They just don't use their brains at all. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. But let me tell you what you think.
Well, me and you did some, the funny, like me and you did some research. Like we did some research off camera, like before we started talking about this, because we were curious to know, because that's a let's be honest, Notre Dame's really good this year. They're really good. They're going to play in one of the top bowl games out there. They're that good. They had a really, really good year this year. And for him to leave, just up and leave like this, pack his stuff and just leave, but that's not like a little move.
No, it's not.
Now this team that has had a really good year and is in line to play in one of these top bowl games doesn't have a coach.
4 kids.
But you know what I mean? The team doesn't have a coach. They don't have a head coach. So he and leaves. So me and you were curious, and we were trying to trying to add some stuff up here. And I think there's so many layers to why he would leave, you had said to me, a lot of it has to do with the timing. Cause you said the recruiting starts right. Like as soon as the season of your school ends, you could start recruiting for the next year. You know what I mean? Like you could start recruiting for that next year. As soon as if you're at if you don't make a bowl game, let's say your season ends and you have under 6 wins and it's over, then you could technically start as soon as the NCAA says, okay, bowl season's here. Go ahead, go recruit. You're one of, like you said, you're one of those schools that's going to be instantly calling people. And it doesn't matter if their other teams are playing or not, that type of stuff doesn't matter to them, because what matters is getting the right guy in the place for next year.
Exactly. It throws everything off.
Me and you did some research. So back to us kind of just poking around and doing some research. The contract for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame was, with endorsements, probably somewhere around 2.5. It said 1.8 for just the upfront money, 1.8. So under money, under bonuses. 2 million, right? So you add in commercials and just all type of endorsements. He's probably making 2.5 or 3 at the most, sure. 3 at the most. Me and you then looked up what his contract was for LSU. And what was the contract?
It was almost $100 million for 10 years. So he's making around $10 million versus $1.8 million. And it's just, That's not even comparable. He has to take that job. Also, if he doesn't take this, and here's the thing, everyone wants to sit here and bash Brian Kelly. But Brian Kelly, I don't want to get too off track because what you're bringing up is a really good point. But Brian Kelly set his team up for success. He left them all these young guys, and also he was going to take his defensive coordinator, but instead that guy's going to stay on as the head coach. It's like, how much more could this guy give you? And also, if he stays at Notre Dame and for any reason falls off or doesn't get the same recruits that he got before, he's going to lose not only $100 million, but his entire reputation as a winning coach. So he has to take this chance. He has to take the chance. And if Campbell messes, or if the guy who's taking over messes up, then that's not on Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly set him up for success. So he has to do this. There's nothing that he can do, and it's not his fault. It really isn't. And it's really sad that they put him in this situation, to be honest. I feel bad for everyone involved, including the school.
So let's talk about his Brian Kelly's replacement in Notre Dame too, because like you said, not only did he set the program up with players to be successful, but the guy who replaced Brian Kelly as the head coach was like his protege. Like he was learning underneath him. And so I 100% agree with you on that, where he, Kelly just didn't, I don't think he left Notre Dame. Like it's interesting because like you had said, like you had told me off camera that both sides had made out well, both sides I believe you said both sides had played this well. So Explain what you mean by that.
So Kelly actually wanted to bring Campbell. I forgot his first name. Forgive me for forgetting this, but this Campbell guy, this young guy, he's only 34 years old, 35, 34. He's a young guy. He's a defensive mind. And he was going to go with Kelly to LSU. That was the plan. But then Notre Dame said, whoa, wait. We'll give you the head coaching job. Come back. So he said, sorry, Brian, I'm going to be the head coach of Notre freaking Dame, man. So he's 30. He's like 30 in his mid 30s, and he's going to be the head coach of this football team. He has the next couple recruits already commits, and unless they decommit, which they have every right to do, and go to LSU, which would be very scummy of Brian Kelly to do. But if he did it, that's how it works, man. But that Campbell has every reason to be successful this year. And that's kind of I don't know. I don't think I don't blame anyone for this, and I think the Notre Dame, by stealing Brian Kelly's protege from him, they made out pretty well. I think they did pretty well, because he was going to get a job eventually anyway. They've been successful for a long time, those two, for like at least 8 years. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's I'm trying. Oh, I lost my train of thought here. It's definitely like you had said, both sides in that scenario played that perfectly, because Kelly was kind of like, well, I'm going to make a last second decision. Sorry, Notre Dame. Like, I'm sorry, guys. This is an opportunity that I cannot pass up. And then Notre Dame's kind of left, with their,
they can keep their culture now,
with their schmenzer in their hand. Like, okay, well, now what do we do? Because we don't have a head coach.
And they got his number 2. They got the culture.
And then the other one is, so Kelly, so Brian Kelly tries to be like, okay, well, I'm going to take my protege with you. And Notre Dame goes, well, not so fast there, big guy. How about we make him the head coach? So, and then the guy that was learning under him's like, well, Brian, I can't, just like you couldn't pass that job up. I can't pass.
How could I pass this up?
Pass this up. I'm set up, you set me up for success. I got the youth in the program now to at least give me a shot for the next 2 or 3 seasons. I'm gonna stay.
Exactly, and it's all on him now. It's all on him. He took the responsibility. He's no longer under Brian Kelly. You can't ride his coattails. So it will, like, do or die. And he has every opportunity, and it'll be interesting. The real people that got screwed, and there's nothing really they could do about it, is Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they might have their athletic director be the head. I heard a rumor about that. I don't know if it's really going to happen. They might have the AD be the head coach, because they don't have anyone else, because I think Lincoln Riley's taking his entire staff to USC. There he's going because he's going to USC. So that's bad. Oklahoma got screwed hard. Notre Dame made out pretty well. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. Like I said, don't hate the player, hate the game. The NCAA screwed everyone in this situation and then expected everyone to just be like, oh, it's okay. It's like, I mean, the kids suffer here, not anyone else. Just the kids.
Absolutely. Because the NCAA should have been like, whoa, all right. You're not taking this head coach who's coaching a team that's in a top 5 bowl game away from that team. No, not going to happen. That's what they should have said. You can do this when the season ends and when your bowl game is over with.
As far as I'm concerned, the NCAA only exists to make rules that help them make money. That is the only reason the NCAA exists. They are like they're a leech. They are a middleman and a leech. There's no reason for them to exist because they just screw up everything. When they do make rules, like, hey guys, we're going to have coaches, you know what I mean? Like any reasonable person, right, would have, hey, an off season in February, but the NCAA doesn't think that far ahead because all they're focused on is profits. That's it. They just want the money. That's it.
No, it's 1,000%. And I don't even think they think a month in advance. I think it's okay, how are we making as much money as we can this weekend?
Oh, that person's making money and we're not. Let's see if we can make their money. That's all they're focused. That's the only rules that they're worried about. All the other rules, they can take them or leave them. It doesn't really matter. And it's sickening.
I think another huge part of why the NCAA, I think, is like at that like corporate level, I think is more corrupt than the NFL is because of all the boosters that they have.
Yep.
Because the schools, in my opinion, a lot of these schools don't have the power. The boosters that supply the money to the schools are what has the power.
It is the grossest thing about it. It's like they should be focused on the kids. They should be focused on competition, on developing kids, but they're focused on how can we make money off of these kids. And make no mistake, it's not making money off the brands, because if it was making money off the brands, they wouldn't care if the kids had YouTubes, had podcasts.
Yeah,
they wouldn't care about that.
Kids had their own brand.
They're trying to prevent other people from making money. So it's kind of like it's like YouTubers that invite people into like their groups, and then I've seen a few of them like this. They invite people into their groups and they like use them for content, and then they like basically say like, "Oh, now you're part of my brand now," or whatever. It's like that's what the NCAA is. They're just this worthless middleman that like just kind of like sits there and just collects change for doing nothing and for having terrible like rules, terrible regulations. Like if you're gonna be a Roger Goodell, like a commissioner, then at least be as smart as Roger Goodell. And I know he's done some stupid things. Everyone can point out the stupid things he's done. But he's also built a really big brand. And the NFL has done nothing but grow under Roger Goodell because he's made it about competition. He's made the draft is – think about this. The NFL is not – the NFL and the NBA are much better than baseball in one thing and one thing only. And that is not having – that's having a fair salary cap. It's not fair that the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cubs and the Cardinals can just blow whatever money, and the Dodgers can blow whatever money they want.
$250 million a year.
But the Athletics and the Marlins and whatever cannot. So that's just not fair. And I'm not blaming baseball because it's kind of the circumstances of how much they make. It is what it is. So they can't have a salary cap. But at the same time, I would say that the NCAA, or excuse me, it's better. It's better competition when you have people like, okay, the worst player, or rather the worst team gets the number 1 draft pick. The best team gets the last draft pick. But it's all about glory. I don't know. I think that matters more, and it makes you want to watch the game more. I think that's why football has grown so much. And that a lot of that is based on Roger Goodell's rules. Not all of them. Some of Roger Goodell's rules are bullshit, and some of the committee is bullshit. But that's just I think they're better than the NCAA. That's all I'm trying to say, I guess.
No, dude, it's gotten bad in the NCAA, and they gotta. There's gonna have to be some changes made within the next probably 5 years, because they got to do something about it. They have to do something about what's like, because that's not like let's be honest, that was a mess. Like that was a mess. LSU, as soon as their season ended, was like, all right, we're going to go after our coach now. And it's like you shouldn't be able to do that. That coach Brian Kelly should have been able to coach his team in Notre Dame. Because, dude, think about this. What if he wins a major bowl game? Like, that's a major accomplishment for you as a coach. Like, go win your bowl game. We'll talk to you after the bowl game.
And he literally can't, because if he decided to do that, LSU would move on and hire somebody else so they could go recruit. And that's sad. Yeah, it really is sad.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Ed Ordron for like 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
I feel bad for him because like he did pretty well, and like just because he's not like this exceptional coach, he got the hammer. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I feel
think
bad
a
for
lot
him.
of Orgeron inherited a lot of that team. You know what I mean? He inherited a lot of that team.
Yeah.
So I think it was
time to go, but I still feel bad for him. He loved the school.
Like, he kind of just what's up, Ray?
Fun guy.
What's up, man?
What's up, Ray?
He inherited a lot of that team. So I think a lot of the work for him in that championship season was I think a lot of the work was done for him. You know, the groundwork and the foundation was laid for him and all those, you know what I mean?
I think that's true. And I think LSU alone just gets good recruits for being LSU.
Some wild number of those kids on that LSU team. I think it was like 9 kids from 9 out of those 9. So 9 out of 22 out of the 11 offense and 11 defense from that LSU championship team got drafted into the NFL. 9.
Well, I think we all know that Brian Kelly will be a better coach than Ed Ordron. It's just I think that Ed Ordron had a lot. I think he was a good coach. I just think that Kelly will probably do more, like with the talent that's given to him, and that's probably what the boosters thought too, and the AD thought. They were like, all right, well, we got to move on. We got to get Brian Kelly. This is our only chance. So this is a mutual thing for sure. But it is sad for Ed Ordron, poor guy. He's kind of just got smacked around for that.
Well, it just goes to show, like we all think that like the NFL coaches are short-lived. Dude, these boosters and these colleges, if you go through one like really bad losing season, it could be curtains for you. They're done. You know, all it takes, like at least in the NFL, you get 2 or 3 or 4. You get a couple of seasons back to back to kind of determine what you are. College is bad, man. You go through 1 year and you're toast. Of like if you win like 3 games in the year, you're done.
Their greatest rivals. Well, they're looking at Alabama, and they're saying if they can win 10 games a year every year, why can't we? We have the same type of recruits, same areas we recruit from. Sometimes they get better recruits, especially at the receiver position. Excuse me.
That's another thing too. Like he did do the same thing in Cincinnati, didn't he? He built up the Cincinnati program, and then he got a better job offer, and then he went to like. So
I can't blame him for it though. I really can't. But
no, not at all.
Yeah.
He built up he built the program up, and then he got people noticed him, and he got a better job. You got a better job. This is just he's like good on him for doing what he doing what he does and building teams and improving the team. Good on him for that.
No, for real. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we can't just sit here and like a lot of people want to pile on him, but I mean, would you really? Okay, let me ask you something. Like, would you, if you are offered an what is it? Let's see. It'd be,
dude, they tripled his
600.
salary.
Yeah,
they
600% pay rate. No, yeah, 300% pay raise. 300% pay raise for 10 years. For 10 years, and you get to work with better players. You get probably to hire better coaches. You get more respect, and you get more opportunities to win national titles. You actually get an opportunity to win a national title. You're really going to say no to that? No. I'm sorry. You're not going to say no to that. Nobody would in their right mind, especially if you're in the prime of your coaching career. You're not going to say no to that. LSU is the top. If you're a college coach, you've made it to the top. If you made it to LSU, and Notre Dame is there, but they're at like the bottom of the top.
Honest, right? Like Notre Dame's maybe in the top 15.
Sure.
Right. LSU, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, like some of these, those are the top dogs. Those are where you want to be.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, they will pay for you big time.
You get what you pay for, and Brian Kelly wasn't even getting paid as much. I mean, it was close. He might have been paid like with incentives, but the base salary, according to the statistic I looked up, the women's basketball coach, no disrespect to her, because she's won, they've won a lot. No disrespect. She made more than Brian Kelly. So Brian Kelly looked at this like, okay, women's basketball doesn't make as much money as college football does. She's getting paid more than me.
Yeah.
I can go down to LSU and make 300% more salary. What am I, insane? Like, what? Is this a question? Like, well, I have to. So anyway, that's kind of how I see it. It's like you'd be absolutely insane to what does it say? Ray says, I would have burnt the Notre Dame building down if LSU asked me to do it for that type of money.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Bro, it's the contract for him is 10 years and $93 million. Dude, that's
no diss.
You know what I mean? Like, and you're
no
making, we did our own research, prior to getting on here, just to kind of see like the kind of like the difference in money, what it would be like from jumping from Notre Dame to LSU. And he was making 1.8 at Notre Dame, and now he's making 9.3, almost 10. Dude, they tripled, more than tripled his salary. Anybody would leave. Anyone.
You'd be insane to stay. You really would. And in High Life, yeah, he says women's basketball. He says laughing face. No disrespect. My daughter plays. Seriously, no disrespect. They are a great. If you know about like the women's Notre Dame basketball team is incredible. They're amazing. No disrespect. But Brian Kelly was looking at that probably and saying, well, think about it. Like, I'm a college football coach. I want to be a top college football coach. What are top college football coaches making? Well, $7 to $10 million. And that's what LSU is willing to offer. You get what you pay for. And you know what? Notre Dame has an incredible female basketball program, and they pay their female head coach a lot. Good for her. I'm glad you get what you pay for. That's good. That's the point. I mean. That's the point.
They spend them. They just, like you said, they decide to spend the money else.
Where
they obviously invested into that women's basketball team, and they're a dominant force every year. Every year they're top 6, top 5, top 8, top 6. They're a good team. They're a good team. Like you like you said, you absolutely you absolutely get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for. That's it.
It's that amount of increase is just it's astronomical though. You're 1.8 to 9.3. Like that is like the NCAA and LSU made it impossible for Brian Kelly to say no to that. They have made it impossible for him to say no.
Well, and it's sad because in my opinion, he could have had his cake and eaten it too. What in the world? Why in the world would you have recruiting season during bowl season? That makes absolutely 150% no sense. And honestly, if you want to if you want to have a stick up your butt and you want to control something, why don't you control that? Hey guys, you can't recruit until after bowl season. Boom. That would help so many things. That way the coaches can, enjoy their time with the kids before they have to say, hey, guys, I have to take a new job. You can say, hey, let's finish this bowl season, then say, hey, guys, all right, now that the season's over, I have to announce I'm taking a new job. That is 10 times more healthy than, all right, guys, I know we have like 5 weeks, and then we got a bowl game we got to prepare for, but I got to go. See ya. Bye. I mean, really? How did you, I just can't stress how stupid and moronic the NCAA truly is. They are so worried about money, but they can't even think about the most basic things that it's just amazing. They just can't think of these simple things. It's amazing. It's shocking. Like, they could have had everything. And the kids, like I said earlier, the kids are the ones that suffer, nobody else.
Yeah.
Because, we don't care. I mean, it's fans, Notre Dame fans and the kids who are playing are the ones who suffer.
Well, no, I mean, the fans are one thing. They'll always show up because they're loyal to the team. It's the players. The players are the ones that get hosed.
It is really sad.
In college, they get hosed because they're not making anything. They're just, you know what I mean? Like we said earlier, dude. Like we said earlier, the that whole team is left without a head coach, and they're going to play in one of the top 4 bowl games.
The head coach they've had all year. Now they have to have I think the D coordinators can be the head coach, but still, like, you've just changed everything for these guys. And now you don't have that voice that you had all year, and you can't have that voice because it's against the rules now. You sign a new contract. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, NCAA? Like, this is so stupid. In High Life, I don't usually follow the NCAA too, but I read into the story, and it's just, the Patino thing. The NCAA is just so stupid. They just mess up everything. They like tried to hide. There was people that the Patino thing too. I could talk about that. I could talk about how they treat people, cannabis users. I could talk about how they treat people who have made money on YouTube. How they treat people who made money selling T-shirts, fundraisers for charity. Like, the NCAA is their biggest group of old idiots, of these like 90-year-old to 70 to 90-year-old morons that are like in Kappa Delta, like fraternity or whatever, or the secret society. Bunch of morons.
I know.
They don't have. They lack so much common sense. It's incredible. So that's all I have to say about the NCAA. They're a bunch of they're predators. They're predators to kids, like, in a lot of different ways. Financially, there's a. It's just unbelievable.
The NCAA doesn't allow the kids to do pretty much anything. Like they changed
the rules now because the courts made them, but they didn't want to.
Literally had to make them change. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, for real. They couldn't make YouTube channels for until like 2019 or 2020 or something like that.
Yeah,
they couldn't.
I think it was 20. Yeah. I think 2019 was when it
unbelievable. It was crazy, and now kids are starting podcasts and other stuff. So thank God these kids they can sign and sell jerseys, but it's like, it's the whole likeness thing that you can't tell someone they can't make money off their likeness. That's against the Constitution. So the court stepped in eventually and said, the NCAA, you're being unconstitutional. That's kind of pathetic.
And it was good for them because the kids finally had like a voice. Finally.
For real. And I'm not a college football guy, but I found this interesting.
So I just thought that was such a major move too, because like the implications are massive. Like that team that, like you said, had that voice all year long, same voice, just they played a phenomenal year, and now it's just gone like that, gone. Bye.
What are you teaching these kids that they can just accept responsibility, and then because of the rules just throw everything upside down? Like, this is supposed to be about education. But it's not for them. It's about money. It's all it's ever been.
Absolutely.
It's pathetic. It truly is. That's all I have to say. It's truly pathetic that we live in such a time like that.
Yeah.
Lack of thoughts.
No, it's definitely, dude. It is dodgy. It's all the above, man. It's not good. Hopefully they can start rectifying things like they did for the kid. Hopefully, it keeps moving in that right direction for them, for the athletes, for the collegiate athletes.
That's what it should be about.
Let's kind of switch directions here and switch leagues, and let's talk about the NBA a little bit.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
We'll talk about your Chicago Bulls first. So we'll stay in the Windy City for now.
Hell yeah.
So let me just say this to you: DeRozan and Lonzo Ball, and the Bulls as a whole, that's a good team. That's a really good team. But the two kind of biggest standouts so far to me have been Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan. And DeMar DeRozan, talk about like reviving and revitalizing your career. DeRozan looks phenomenal in Chicago.
He does, and he's doing things that he's always wanted to do. He's playing his game, and I think the reason he can play his game is because they have a style that fits him. And one of it we talked about in previous podcasts. We talked about the fact that Lonzo Ball, he sets everybody up for success, and everything that he does is for the betterment of the team. His passing is infectious. But something that DeRozan, his ISO game, he's never had this much. I would say he's never had this much freedom to kind of be himself. Like, here, take the ball on the block, and just go nuts with it. Everyone's been trying to fit DeRozan into a box. Like, oh, just take some 3-point shots from here and there. We know you're only 25% from three, but just take some more shots. And the thing is, it's not who he is, and that's not how the Bulls are playing him. They're playing him like a mid-range giant, and he can just work anyone on the from the elbow to the block. He can work anyone. And Lonzo made headlines saying this week that he's the best mid-range player in the entire NBA, and it's hard to argue. I mean, I think there's quite a few good ones you could say. Chris Paul, even Steph Curry has some amazing mid-range games. Luka has some amazing mid-range games. Kawhi does. There's a lot of people, but DeMar DeRozan is definitely in that conversation, especially when you just watch his footwork, his jump shooting in the mid-range. Just the way he just athletically dominates his opponent, even in his 30s. So DeMar DeRozan, yeah, you're right. He's making a revitalization in his career. These guys fit really well together. They just do. From Ball to Vucevic to DeRozan, and then you have obviously Levine, who can drop 3 after 3, who is as athletic as they come. I mean, this team, the sky's the limit with this team. If we can all stay healthy, you got Caruso, a menace off the bench. Kobe White can drop 30 if he really gets going. This team is incredibly talented. We are missing Patrick Williams. That was a big gut punch, especially defensively. But I think that they'll still be a top 5 seed from what they've shown so far.
Patty Williams, he'll be back. Yeah. He'll be back though. You'll when you get him,
we'll get him back.
Yeah,
he's a young guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's young. He'll bounce back. He'll be fine.
So that'll be good.
I have a question for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Are DeRozan and Lonzo Ball? Are they one of the best? Would you put them in the top 3 for duos in the game today, or
when everybody's healthy?
Where would you rank them?
When everybody's healthy, no. But right now they're playing like it. When everybody's healthy, I wouldn't say that. Like I'd say Steph and Clay, and then you got Kawhi and PG, but they're all hurt. And then I would say LeBron and AD, but AD has been just inconsistent, and the Lakers team is crap, so I'm not even going to go there. I wouldn't say they're because here's the thing. Their talents, the Bulls, I'm going to be realistic. I'm a Bulls fan. I love the Bulls. It's more that their chemistry is so good that their talent is overwhelming. I don't think that their talent is overwhelming. You know what I mean? I don't think that Lonzo and DeMar are overwhelmingly talented, but I do think that they can win basketball games, and that's more important to me. It's not necessarily about because I think that even Embiid and Tobias Harris, or even just that Sixers team is really good. You got Trae Young and John Collins and Clint Capella, and that's really good. So you got a lot of really, really talented guys. So that have a higher ceiling. Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. That's even a trio. So those guys are more talented, but I do think the Bulls can win. They can compete with anybody. They can on any given night. The Bulls could just go off, and one of those guys could just blow up. Here's the thing about the Bulls. There's no one guy that's just going to be given the ball. And the reason why is because of Lonzo Ball. They're going to pass, get it going. Whoever's the open guy, whoever's the perfect matchup, that's who's going to get the ball. And they have so many guys who can do that. Even DJJ, Dennis, or what's his name? Porter. No, it's not Porter Jr. I'm losing it. Junior, the dunker. Even him off the bench, the 8th guy. He's pretty good. Even he could probably give you 15 or 20. So I love this team right now. I do think there's room for improvement, and we do need a superstar, but there's a lot of talent, and we could steal. That's what I'm saying. Rick just said it in the chat. We could steal a series or two, maybe even make it to the ECF.
Here's the thing: if the Bulls get in, let's say the Bulls get in the 5th, let's say they get in the 4th or 5th seed, right? That's going to put them in a favorable matchup. They could absolutely get through that. If they're the 4th or 5th seed in the East, that'll put them in a favorable matchup, and they could easily knock off that first team in that first series. Easily.
That's how I feel. I think if we could stay healthy,
playing like a 7 or an 8. You know what I mean? And you're telling me that the Bulls couldn't knock off like a 6, 7, or 8 seed right now? I think they could, absolutely.
We have depth. That's the thing. Like the Raptors won in 2019, not because of Kawhi Leonard necessarily. It's because they had depth. Kawhi Leonard definitely was the cherry on top. But if we are going to be, if the Bulls could win a championship, it'll be because of depth. It'll be because people are just contributing all over the place. It won't be because one guy took over the game. That's just not going to happen. We don't have that one guy. Even Levine is not that one guy. And I love Levine and DeRozan, but they're not that one guy. Giannis is that one guy. Steph is that one guy. There's a few guys like that. But the Bulls could steal a few series, and if they stay healthy, you never know what could happen. He said Raptors bench stepped. Yeah, exactly. They stepped up to the plate, man. The reason why the Raptors won a title is because of depth. That's why they won a title. And I think Raptors fans would acknowledge that.
No, 1,000%. They won that title what they won because not only were the starting five really good, but they had 2 or 3 guys on the bench that at any given time could absolutely go off and hurt you. You know what I mean?
Van Fleet, yeah, and now he's a starter.
The depth of that team is what won them that title. And it was, the starting five was great.
Remember Clay and KD got hurt that series.
Yeah,
yeah. They went to the depth, and it's like, who do the Warriors even have? They had nobody. They had no answers for that. The Raptors kept on piling in more talented guys. That's how they won. If the Bulls can just stay healthy and do that, you never know what could happen. So that's my opinion on the Bulls. I'm excited for this season. It's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I love to watch the Bulls.
No doubt, dude. You watch, man. I've been saying it from the ever since you guys started adding those, ever since Karnosevic started putting that team together. Me and you have been saying that they're gonna surprise people this year. You watch, they're gonna surprise people this year. They'll make it. They'll surprise some people. Now my next Bulls thing for you. Do I have one more Bulls? No, I think that's it. I have one more, 2 more basketball topics for you though.
Sure.
So let's go to the Bucks and Hornets. That was a wild game.
Whew.
The Milwaukee barely survives that one. The Hornets pushed. I got to see some. I watched the game back, and I got to see that, most of that game. The ending of that was insanity. It was just back and forth and back and forth. The Hornets gave Milwaukee everything they could handle, man. And I mean, I want to know this: has LaMelo Ball finally arrived? Like, was this his coming out game? Like, was this his notice to the NBA that he's nothing to,
I think that's what it was. I think that those final minutes, man, it's hard to argue that's what that was. It was kind of reminding me of? It reminded me of Luka Doncic against, I don't remember what game it was, but it was his rookie season against James Harden. It had to be probably December or January. It was a few months into the season. It was when Luka was really starting to show like, hey, dude, I have some freaking potential. And then I remember he won a shootout against James Harden. He just kept on shooting and playing, outplaying Harden. And obviously LaMelo lost the game against the defending champions. But man, dude, he gave him a freaking run for it. I don't remember how many points he scored, but he was just on fire, and he was getting people wide open. Like in the final seconds, LaMelo was getting people wide open. And I love that LeVar has been wearing this hat. He hasn't. Notice how LeVar hasn't said anything.
It says "I told you so." Yeah. That's awesome. I love, dude. I am here. So. I am here for that. I am here for that, bro. I love it because he did. He talked He talked all that talk. He did. He talked all that talk, man.
No, that's exactly what it is. He talked all the shit, and he hasn't been on ESPN. He hasn't been on Fox Sports. He hasn't said nothing because he said all he needed to say to raise his kid's profile, and now he's letting their game do the talking. Honestly, LeVar Ball, when it's all said and done, I think a lot of it was done for show, and I think he's a good dad, and I think he genuinely cares about his sons, and he just wants to he wants to get them to capitalize as much off their talents as any other parent would. And I think he's a good, he's a professional marketer. That's literally his job. So he did his job as a dad, as their marketing consultant. And not a lot of people know that. They just think he made millions doing something else. It's like, no, he's a professional marketer.
I feel like a lot of the like when Lonzo first got into it, everybody was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And like there was a
Yep.
lot of skepticism
A lot of skepticism.
surrounding Lonzo when he first came into the league. And he, I think he did start off a little bit slow,
He did.
but
Definitely.
I'll tell you this, man, he's found a fit with Chicago. He has found it at like it just goes to dude, it just goes to show that like even the best players in the world still need to be put in positions to succeed. And it doesn't matter. Like Lonzo has the talent that he has the skill set that the Bulls have needed for a long time, and
He does.
now he finally gets to put the what he's good at to use.
Lonzo's like a guy who, if you ever played NBA 2K20 or 2K whatever, if you play NBA 2K and you make a guy who's a playmaker and you put all of his passing and agility skills and you leave all the other skills kind of low, and then you give him a bunch of talented players to play around, that's what Lonzo Ball is doing right now. He's just like, all right, my passing skills are, here you go, DeMar, here you go, Zach. He's having a time of his life. And also the best thing about it is when he was with the Lakers, the offense, see, the first year he played pretty well. Notice that? First year he played pretty well. Why?
Yeah.
Because the offense ran through him. Then he went. Then he played with LeBron James. The offense didn't run through him, played terrible. Then he went to the Pelicans, where the offense sometimes ran through him. He played a little bit better. And then he became a catch and shoot guy that helped his game a lot. He developed a good defensive skill. He learned how to shoot free throws better. So he did a lot of work in New Orleans for sure. Gets to Chicago. The offense is going to run through you, Lonzo. You decide who gets the ball at all times.
Yeah.
Boom. He's one of the best point guards in the league. That's all it took. So that, no question, he needs the offense to run through him to maximize his potential.
I think a huge part of Lonzo's game too is that you can't just I feel like some of these point guards, like they're okay. Well, there are point guards in the league where you don't really have to respect their shot because it's just not usually there. They know that they're a pass guy. And they know they're not usually going to shoot. They know their first tendency is to
Rajon Rondo
is to give the ball off. It's not to shoot the ball, right? I think a major part of Lonzo's game that's improved is his shot. So you have to respect him as a shooter too. And now you finally put it, you know what the Bulls did for Lonzo that the Lakers didn't and that the Pelicans didn't? They put an unselfish team around him.
Yes. Once Lonzo becomes unselfish, everyone else does too. You see it. It's so obvious. Like Lonzo sets the tone, but everyone buys in.
In LA, you had all these guys. In LA, you had a lot of me guys, right? Then you had AD then you had AD down there in Louisiana, and for the Pelicans, just me, give me the ball. Now now you put Lonzo with these four other guys that don't care if they get the ball or not. And you've surrounded him with unselfish talent,
win.
and now he just gets dude. Some of the passes he's made this year they've been highlight reel style.
Oh, absolutely. He's a phenomenal player, and his brother LaMelo is obviously more talented on the ball. Like he can make these crazy circus shots, kind of like Curry and Trae Young. So he's definitely has that on his brother. I don't see Lonzo ever becoming that guy. Like that off the ball ridiculous shooter, spacing the floor like LaMelo does. And also LaMelo does really, really well with his guys that he has. But I think that Lonzo, in contrast to his brother, and here's the thing, his brother might grow into this, but Lonzo is a much better defender than his brother. And I feel like other guys can play with Lonzo easier than they can play with LaMelo. LaMelo's a little bit wild. You know what I mean? Like he's a little wild with the ball. He's a little reckless sometimes. He makes some crazy passes, a little bit too flashy at times. Lonzo's all about his business. He's just like, all right, boys, get into position. Pass. He doesn't.
You know what I chalk that up to, though? You know what I would chalk that up to? His age.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. It'll take time for LaMelo.
As LaMelo gets older, I think he's going to develop more like Lonzo, and the patience, because Lonzo's patience wasn't there when he first came in. He was kind of like LaMelo,
Yep.
He was a little bit reckless,
raw talent,
a little careless, So
100%.
I think. What's up?
I said that's 100% true. Yeah.
So I think LaMelo could kind of mellow out a little bit and calm it. He'll calm down as he gets older, and like, because let's be honest, dude, he's still a real young kid in an NBA that's like the NBA. A lot of guys don't hit their prime until like year 4, year 5, year
Oh,
4.
he's super young. Yeah, he's what is he, 20?
So
Yeah.
let's see what he looks like in like after 3 seasons. And I think he's going to look more like Lonzo, where the patience with the ball is going to be there.
I think the confidence is extremely high too for the Ball brothers, because Lonzo even said the other day when he was at the press conference, I was watching it. He said, he had fun playing his brother, and the next time he'll probably see him is in the All-Star game, or one of the next times he sees him is in the All-Star game. I liked that, because he basically is saying that we're going to be we're going to be all-stars together and stuff like that. I think that's one. It's true. Popularity definitely matters, and LaMelo, and also he said he knows the Hornets know what they have in LaMelo, and that's definitely true too. He's a huge, he's a big talent. LaMelo is, and you're right. In a couple of years, who knows how good he could be.
Like I can see the patience developing in him, though.
He's gotten better from last year. I mean, his field goal percentage is up, I think, 2 or 3%, and his points per game is up 4 points. So he's definitely better offensively than he was last year. There's a lot of potential there.
Interesting. That's an interesting fact. So LaMelo played in Australia.
He's getting better
Australia and New Zealand before he played in the NBA. So he does. So that's interesting, because he does have more experience than I thought at least.
So he was on Lithuania first, and then he went to New Zealand for a little while, I believe, and then, or it could have it the other way around. But then he went to the NBL and he was on the Illawarra Hawks. The Illawarra Hawks are one of the best teams. Well, it's not one of the best teams, but that's one of the best leagues. The NBL is one of the best leagues in the world. It's probably the 3rd or 4th best league. So he was, and he played against grown men. LaMelo didn't play that well in the NBL, it should be noted, but he had a few games that broke records in the league.
Yeah, that broke all sorts of records.
Yeah, he had a few bad games too. He's playing against like 40-year-olds and stuff. They're more aggressive over there than they are in the NBA. There's not as many ticky-tack fouls. So he knows how to play. And he came into the league, and honestly, I would say I still am shocked at the jump in skill that he's gained in the last 2 years. He was not this good in the NBL. There's no way you can convince me he was that good in the NBL. He took a huge leap.
So let's finish the show off with the final topic here in the NBA. And me and you have talked a lot about this in the off camera. How good is Steph Curry playing right now? He is, and the scariest part about this, right? The Warriors and Steph Curry are still without players. They're still without Klay Thompson, and I believe there's one other person,
James Wiseman.
And Wiseman, yeah. Like, and they're tied for first place in the league. Like that, I'm gonna say it right now. You can mark it down, and They're gonna win a title this year.
Whoa. So, all right, you're going to make a big hot take. You're going to make a huge hot take about the Warriors. I got one too. Let's talk about yours
first. Golden State is going to win the championship this year.
You think Golden State's going to win the championship? I think they have about as good of a chance as anyone. And I was listening to the Draymond Green podcast, and he was talking about just having Andre, because Andre Iguodala was on there too. And he was talking about just having Andre back and having that voice back in the locker room, how big that's been. And he was also talking about Klay Thompson's where he's at mentally. He was talking about where he's at mentally, which is this. Klay Thompson is as hungry as he's ever been. He's been off the court. The last time we saw Klay Thompson on the court, everybody, was the Raptors versus the Warriors game. Everyone forgets, like they just kind of like forget. Well, I guess there might have been like a moment he got back on, but mostly he's been off the last big game we saw him in was that game. And he is so hungry. He is as hungry as you could possibly be. And not only that, but he is balling in the G League, everybody. If you did not see the clips, he's coming, boys and girls. Klay Thompson is coming back, and he is ready. His knees look good. Now, I hope he can stay healthy, obviously. He's had plenty of time. But he's coming back. He looks really good in the G League, and I know it's the G League, but they keep on giving him the ball. Like, he's bringing the ball up the court. He's the point guard. He's everything. He's taking all the shots, and he's looking really good. So you work him back in. You got Jordan Poole playing well. You got what's his name? Toscano Anderson. He's one of the best wing defenders in the league. You got Draymond Green playing really well. You got Steph Curry, who I'll talk about in a second, but you got Steph Curry, I'm just going to say. And then you got James Wiseman, who could be one of the top 10 centers in this league someday. Could be. He has the potential. Now, I don't know if he will be, but he's got that potential.
That's why I made my prediction, man. That's why I made my prediction. Like, that team, when Clay and Wiseman come back, because they will be they're coming back.
Clay is coming back for sure.
They are going to be back before the end of the season. And watch out. You think
Clay is hungry.
You think Steph's playing good right now? Wait till you have to focus on Wiseman and Clay on the court at the same time. That team is going to be stupid good. They will run roughshod on the I'm telling you, they are going to win the title this year.
You say they're going to win the title this year. I say it might take them. And here's the thing. I don't disagree with you. They might win the title this year. I'm not willing to just say you're going bolder than I am. But I will say they might take them time to get Clay back into the rhythm and Wiseman or whatever. But if they can get back into rhythm fast, who the heck is going to stop them? Nobody. Yeah. If Clay comes back full tilt, if even Clay comes back full Clay tilt, it's over. They might even not lose a game anymore, dude. They might go 73-9 season again like they did. Like, it's freaking over. No, that's a bold prediction. And I have another thing to say that I think I'm going to get a lot of hate for. Do you mind if I say it? Oh no, let's focus on yours for a second.
I want to hear your take on Steph, because the kid is just playing at such a ridiculous level. Dude, I've never Jordan and Kobe. Jordan and Kobe are the only two guys I've ever seen play at the level he's playing at right now. Like, those are the only two. Those are literally the only two guys. And then if you really want to go back far, like Bird and Johnson, like the kid is just playing on a stupid level right now.
I think that Steph Curry, and I'm just going to say it, I think that Steph Curry is the second greatest player in the history of basketball. I think that Stephen Curry is not just the greatest shooter of all time, which he is. There's no question about that. I think that he is the second best basketball player of all time, behind only Michael Jordan. And he could pass Michael Jordan someday. Let me tell you why. And a lot of people are like, well, the game is soft and everything. Well, they did just change the rules to where you can guard people and you can basically hand check them past the three-point line. Steph didn't slow down. He sped up. He's shooting more three-pointers now. He's shooting deeper three-pointers now. Like, James Harden, he's done. Like, his career is taking a giant hit from that rule. That rule screwed him really hard. Curry got better. This is a huge move, guys. Like, you can no longer say, oh, Steph had the easy way. If he was in the 90s, they'd hand check him. They're doubling him at the opposite free throw. No one in the history of basketball has ever been doubled behind half court like that. Ever. That's never happened. Look up after this podcast is over, guys. I want everyone to look up the video. I think it's by Hoops Central or something like that. Called
it is. It's Hoops Central. Yeah,
the Curry effect. The Curry effect.
Yeah.
Look it up. It is fascinating, and it's convinced me that Steph is the second best player of all time, behind only Michael Jordan. And by that I mean impact. You have to guard him throughout the entire court, like from half court and above. He has to be doubled. If you don't double Curry at half court, you will get a 3-point in your face. Steph Curry is shooting 46% on 15 shots, it's like 13 to 15. He's shooting in the teens, and he's making 46%. No one's ever even come close to this level of offensive efficiency. Not even remotely close. And not only that, but there's been multiple times in the last year, 2021, where they've been up by like 40. Kerr's like, all right, you scored 50 points, get out. Or 45, get out, you're done. They've set him down.
I've seen games where Steph is sitting the entire fourth quarter. Like, he doesn't even have to be on the court.
If you're telling me that that's not the most dominant offensive unit we've ever seen, and the reason why I say Jordan's better is because Jordan was dominant. Like, he was a two-way like, he'll shut down your best player and dunk in your face no matter what.
Yeah.
That's why I give Jordan. LeBron, I don't care. Like, I love LeBron. Oh, I don't love LeBron. I love LeBron's talent.
LeBron would never have the defense that Jordan had.
In High Life says Chamberlain and Kobe. Those are the only people. And well, Bird. Here's the thing about Bird, though. This is the only reason I'm not going to put Bird in this conversation. He didn't last long enough. His back gave out on him. Bird could have been in that conversation, but Curry's already been in the league longer than Bird. So that's kind of just about as long as Bird now. So that's kind of where Bird. As great as Bird is, Bird had the raw talent of anybody. Chamberlain was dominant, but the people he faced against, I can't talk about it. Kobe was hurt all the time. And not only that, but people didn't – you didn't double Kobe Bryant past the half court. You didn't do that. You just didn't. Kobe was great, and you did have to double him at times. But if you don't double Curry past the half court, you're dead. If you don't stop him, you're dead. We've never seen that. We've never seen that. Even Trae Young is not that efficient yet. He's got like a 41% clip, and he only shoots like 9. Curry's at like 13 a game sometimes, dude. He is ridiculous. So he's broken the game of basketball. I'm just saying that like, find me a better, and when it's all said and done, find me a better player than Steph Curry. Like, I think he could play till he's 40 with the type of game he plays.
You did make an interesting point. It is funny how, like, well, it's I should say it's the back injury to Bird really derailed, I think, what could have been he could have played for a long time.
He's a big guy, he's kind of bumbling, and not bashing him, because the fact that he's bumbling, you know what I mean? He's kind of like me. He's kind of a bumbling guy, and he's so talented, like unbelievably skilled. Larry Bird was. Like, if you just watch the tapes, it's unreal how skilled he was. But when you are bumbling like that, when you aren't as like symmetrical as a guy like Steph Curry, as small and compact as a guy like Steph Curry, I don't know if you can last as long as that. And Curry's going to last 20 years. Curry's going to last 20 years. He's going to have more threes than anyone could even dream of having. And the only ones who will even come close to his records are like Trae Young, maybe. And that's if he doesn't get hurt. You know what I mean? So, and Curry, the thing about Curry, it's not just about, okay, he can shoot all these threes and he's so efficient and he gets guarded from half court. He's also one of the best passers in the league and one of the best ball handlers ever. So there's so many, and also he's a top 10 steals leader every year. So he is a good defensive player. He does get physically dominated. That's the only thing working against him. That's why I think he'll never really pass Jordan.
His size on the defensive end is what hurts him the most.
And that's why people will argue he'll never be better than LeBron and Kobe. But I think if you get doubled from half court, and if you don't get doubled from half court, you win every time. It's hard for me to say that anyone's better than you offensively, at least. It's hard because it's unbelievable. It sets your team up for success. Wiggins, Porter, and everyone, they're all having some of the best seasons they've had in years because of Curry. It's all Curry. It's the Curry effect. Look it up after the podcast.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument though. Like has Steph earned? Has he earned that right this young in his, this young to be put in the conversation with names like Bird, Chamberlain, Magic, Kobe.
I think we should start talking about it, but you're right. They need. Well, I think they need to start winning too. Like winning. If you win a couple more titles, we have to start talking about it.
Because obviously Jordan's the top, and then it's then you have Magic, Kobe, Bird, Chamberlain. Chamberlain.
Curry?
Russell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have guys like that. If
number 2 is open right now, in my opinion, and Curry is making a case. That's what I'm trying to say.
The level that dude, we haven't seen a guy play like this in a. I think what me and you are both trying to say is that we haven't seen a guy play like this on a level like this in a long time.
Well, yes, and the thing about it is he's not. LeBron is a great player. Like High Life makes the point, as much hate as LeBron get from Miami, he still strikes fears in people for 21 seasons. Curry, not so much. Well, first of all, I would say that I completely disagree that Curry doesn't strike fear into people. Curry has struck fear into people since 2014. He is terrifying. Like I said, if you don't guard him from half court, you lose. That's if you don't double him from half court, you lose. So that alone right there will strike fear into you as a defender. But the thing I would say about LeBron is he is way too reliant upon other people. And he is so reliant upon other people. And I will never, ever, ever hear the argument that LeBron didn't have help. I'll never hear it. Like, yeah, sure, a few years they were, injured and stuff. Them's the ropes, though. That's what happens. So I won't hear he didn't have any help.
Listen,
it's like LeBron had a lot of help.
Every great player, Bird, Magic, Kobe, LeBron, Russell, Chamberlain, all of these guys they had some people. They had some people around them because it's I mean, at its heart, it's a team game. So you got to be able to at least have some supporting cast.
Well, sure, but it's also just like LeBron had in Miami's first title. He had a bunch of he had like 4 Hall of Famers on his team. So that was good. Good. You got a first title. That's great. Second title, he had Ray Allen bail him out at the end. He definitely was not the reason why he won that title. So that's, the first title, he dominated that whole year and he was really good. Second title, he got bailed out in the end and they had a wishy-washy year. They had kind of like a hangover. And then his Cleveland years, I'd say that prime for like 3 years in Cleveland, from like 2015 to 2019, maybe 3 or 4 years, LeBron, that's the best LeBron will ever see. And then maybe that 4 years was the best prime we'll ever see in basketball history. That was an incredible prime. No disrespect to him.
The way he took that Cavaliers team and put that team on his back and he would not be denied that title. He literally would not be denied that championship. He was like, I'm not. He put that team on his back and basically said, "We're not losing. We're not losing this game. We're not losing this title."
In that small window of time, he reached Jordan level, but I think he's fallen off since then. Even his last title in 2020, he was not the reason why he won. I shouldn't take that back. He was one of the reasons he won.
But definitely he contributed.
He wasn't. AD was amazing. AD was dominating. They were hitting shots. The bench was playing well. Dwight Howard seemed to have a resurgence. Everything seemed to work for them in the bubble.
The bench too.
Everyone played well. You can't say that. No, 2016 title, that was all LeBron. So I would say this: 2012 and 2016, those 2 titles, all LeBron. Full credit, no excuses. You dominated. You had a couple teammates that played well, but you were the reason that you won those titles. 2013, where Ray Allen bailed them out. In 2020, it's like, yeah, you were definitely part of it. You were part of it. But Jordan, the Bulls made the Final Four that one time, and then they got shit on by Shaq and everybody. Like they got crapped on by the Eastern Conference. Whereas when Jordan came back, nobody stopped him. Like when Jordan was in full swing with his team, there was nothing you could do about it. It was unbelievably dominant. He was going to dominate you. And I think that Curry is reaching that level too, where he's always been this incredible player where his talent it's kind of like Wilt Chamberlain freak talent, but it's with the shooting. It's that in the passing too, really. He has a great passer. He's a great setup man. So that's kind of what I was talking about. Like Curry, if you're choosing a franchise, bro, let me ask you this really quick. Who are you choosing? So you have every single player in the history of basketball in their prime right now, leading up to this point. Who are you choosing? Are you choosing LeBron or Curry? I'm choosing Curry, personally. That's just me.
I'm gonna take Curry over LeBron, but
I'm taking Curry.
It's close though. It's close. I would.
It
take
is close. Curry. Oh yeah, we're splitting hairs, definitely.
You know what? You made an interesting point, and I 1,000% agree with it too. LeBron in the Cavs title, when he carried them to a title, that one series, that title, that NBA championship series, that was Jordan level, and then he fell off. You know what I mean? That was like
he was satisfied.
I agree that he temporarily reached Jordan's
He did.
level.
He might have even passed it for,
You know what I mean?
a short window.
He
But
temporarily was at that level. The reason why Jordan, I think, all these years was so good was because he got to this level and never left it. And never left it.
He got bored of being there, went to go play baseball, and then, all right, I'll come back. I'm not bored anymore. Got back to the level, won 3 more. Like he was, and then before that, when he was a solo Maverick, he was just, I mean, it's like Curry last year when Curry was alone and he didn't have Clay and Draymond was hurt half the time and Wiseman was hurt. Curry's just like, all right, screw it, 45 a game. That's what Jordan did. That's what I'm saying. LeBron doesn't have that in him. When things aren't going well with his team, he's just like, God, guys. I remember that one. Remember when he won? This is what makes me sick about LeBron. Remember when he won against, I think it was the Raptors, and it was like a 7-game series and stuff like that. And like at the end of the series, he's just like laying on the couch. They're like interviewing the whole thing. They're like, they won the Eastern Conference, and he's just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I had to carry this team so hard. You know, my back hurts so bad. It's like, dude, nobody wants to hear that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody wants to hear that. So that's why I choose Curry over him. Your attitude says everything. And Curry's attitude is we're winning every single game all the time. And I like that attitude. So his mentality is higher. So I put him above LeBron.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
He said he can't even dunk.
But I agree. Like for that one series, for that championship series, he got there. He got to the top of the mountain. But Jordan got there and never came down. That's the thing with him. Like that's why Jordan is the greatest. He will, in my opinion, until somebody knocks him off, forever be the GOAT because he got to that level and never left it ever.
Well, and he left and he comes back 4 years later when he's like almost 40 years old and he's still and that's the thing. When he left the league, people were still like, well, he's still the best player in the world. And they said that for like 5 years, even though he was retired. So they were like almost disrespecting everyone else who was still in the league just because he was that good. He left that much of a mark on society. LeBron doesn't have that type of legacy.
He's going to be Jordan will be the GOAT until somebody knocks him off. And it's, you want to talk the amount of talent and skill and level of success that it's going to take to knock Michael Jordan off the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
I
don't even think Curry can do that, but I think Curry can get number 2.
36 years old, and I don't think I'm going to see it in my lifetime.
I don't think so either. Just because like we have to compare era by era. If Jordan, some people are like, well, if Jordan was in this era, then he would just be DeMar DeRozan. Well, maybe that's true, but we'll never know, will we? All we can do is judge the era. And in the era, Jordan was above basketball. He was above basketball. LeBron has never been above basketball. He just has, as great as he is, he's a phenomenal talent. He's like a Karl Malone level of talent. He's a Tim Duncan level of talent. He's right up there with the top 10 of all time. There's no way that you could argue he's not top 10. But
Jordan transcended the sport.
He did. And I would take Curry, I'd take Kobe, I'd take a lot of people over LeBron. And a lot of people would disagree with me, and they know what, that's fine. But I think mentality, attitude, that matters a lot more to me. You know what I mean? It does. And Jordan's mentality was, we're going to kill you. We're going to rip your throat out. So, he shook you to your core. Exactly. Everyone's, the chat gets it. They get it. He'll always be the GOAT. It'll be hard to pass him. You really have to just crap all over your era to pass Jordan. And I don't even know if anyone would do it.
That's what I mean. Like, the level, like, you know what the level of success that he had and stayed at for so long. I just don't think I don't think there's going to be anybody that in my lifetime that's going to match that.
And the only guy I think that will even be in the conversation in this era now is Steph Curry, because he's got think about this too. So LeBron is as he descends, back down to earth, because LeBron is descending. He's 38 years. He's about to be 38 years old. LeBron is descending down to earth, no matter what, because he's getting older and it's basketball. That's just the way it is. Even MJ did. So he's coming down to earth. Curry is 32 or 33, maybe. I think he just turned 33.
Think about this.
He's still up there.
Steph probably still has 5 more years of elite play in him.
ring potential time. So he definitely, and who's gonna stop him besides maybe Giannis? That's the only one I think.
See, you just took it right out of the only person in the league that could possibly stop, the only team that could possibly stop that team is Milwaukee.
Don't tell me it's KD. KD is the same problem with LeBron. Only even worse. KD has rabbit ears. He's more worried about what they're saying about him in the newspaper or the freaking social media than he is about winning a title. Steph is singularly focused. And so is Clay, and so are the Warriors have developed kind of like what the Patriots have. They have this system, and it runs through Steph Curry, much like the Tom Brady ran. You know what I mean? Tom Brady ran the Patriot way. It's like that's what they're trying to foster, and they're doing a damn good job because even without Klay Thompson and their number one pick James Wiseman, they're still number one in the NBA. So it's pretty fascinating. He said Pippen was their shot. Yeah, Pippen deserves a lot of credit, just like Klay Thompson does, and so does Draymond Green. Obviously, yeah, I'm not trying to despair. That's the thing. Pippen's getting all butthurt because everyone loved on Jordan for a year, and he wants his own love. It's like, dude, Pippen, like everything that they're saying good about Jordan, you should be like, yeah, I was right there with it. Don't talk down to KD. But here's the thing, man. KD made a bad choice. Like if I were KD, I would have taken less money, stayed in Golden State, and bought into this dynasty, but instead he wants to be the man in a crappy team, crappy franchise. And
this is what I don't understand about a lot of these guys, right? This is what the league has turned it. We'll end it on this, right? This is what the league has turned into, right? It's almost like they've gotten away from like I'm gonna get one ring, and that's good, and then I'll go somewhere and I'll just collect a massive payday and I'll play the sport that I love for the rest of my life and kind of half-ass it, right?
Right. That's how I see it, at least.
But that's what a lot of it is. Like if KD was smart, he'd have said, all right, I got an opportunity here with the Golden State Warriors to be here for 10 seasons, and we may have 1 or 2 off years, but we got the potential to win 7 rings.
Think about how unselfish Steph is really quick. Think about that. So Steph said, all right, KD, stuff like that matters to you where people say you're the best or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Here, you can be the finals MVP. You can take the final shots. You can be the focus. You can be all this stuff. And KD still said, well, people are still saying you're better than me, and they're still on social media saying you're carrying the team. And look, Steph is carrying the team. They're even better than they were with KD. They were winning even more. Like, Steph has always been better than KD, and I think like KD knows that deep down, and Steph is so unselfish. He said, dude, just take all the trophies, take all the love, take all the glory, take the statue if you want. He doesn't care. Steph just wants the titles and the victories and the winning, but he doesn't need KD. And it's pathetic that KD literally needs all the laurels and the love on social media in order to validate himself. It's honestly pathetic. It really is. I think a lot less of KD in the last couple of years. High Life says the Nets are the next NBA champions. You know what, bro? If they are, I will eat my words, and you can come on this podcast and trash me if you want to. You can say, I told you so, all this shit. I don't see it ever happening, especially with their dysfunction and with James Harden's rules. Like, he lost 10 points a game. Are we not going to talk about that? He is not the same guy anymore because they're checking him at the 3-point line now, and he can't just get these calls.
The league is just, it's like, just to end it, right? Like we'll just end it on this, right? It's with the different, like you said, the different eras, and like no matter the rule changes and the era, like in the eras, regardless of like, until someone knocks Jordan off that pinnacle, and I mean to knock him off the pinnacle, what it's going to take is going to be like they're going to have to do what Jordan did. Even the casual fan who might watch 3 NBA games a year knew who he was. Even the guy who doesn't watch basketball at all knew who Michael Jordan was. Until you get a player that's that good that they can transcend a sport, that's what it's going to take to knock Jordan off of that pinnacle. And like I said, I'm 36 years old. I don't think I'm going to see it in my lifetime.
The NBA's ratings have fluctuated since Jordan retired, anywhere from 1 to 15 million viewers a game. And I think the peak was around 20 during the finals runs with LeBron, the Cavs, and the Warriors and stuff like that. But when Jordan left, when he peaked the NBA, when he was at the top of his game and everyone was watching 40, in the 96, think, right? It was around 40 mil.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, it was around 40 million.
Mil. So you got to double the interest that you got going on. LeBron James, as good as he is, man, you don't got 40 million people watching you every night, bro. You don't. Not even at your best.
That again just goes to show the level of transcend. Like he was, like you said it perfectly. He was Michael Jordan was bigger than the sport. He was bigger than the sport, and
he was.
Like honestly, I really like Steph is a fun player to watch. He is. He's a very entertaining guy to watch. He's that team. Golden State is that's a really good basketball team. You know, that is they play better. They do. They're good. They're really good.
Next time
it's going to be entertaining. It's just going to be entertaining to see how this season shakes out and see how you know when they finally do get Wiseman and Clay back on the court, because I'm sorry to say, guys, they are going to get them back this year.
They are.
And you add those two guys, you add probably Wiseman has a massive potential to be really, really good. And then you know exactly what you get with Klay Thompson, and that team is just going to be hard. Like they're going to be tough to beat. I don't know if Milwaukee can do it again. I don't think they could. I don't know. To go through that team,
they got a good roster.
That team, I don't know, man. I don't know if Milwaukee can do it.
For sure. Next time we should talk about. We won't get into it now. It'll be too much. But next time we should get into who the Warriors will have to put on the bench whenever, because they're playing really well. Who will the Warriors have to put on the bench? So we'll talk about that next time. That'll be interesting to discuss whenever Clay comes back and Wiseman.
No, absolutely. But I think that's all we got for you guys tonight. So much appreciated.
Great episode. Thanks, guys.
For all of the support, guys. Always good to sit here and chat with y'all. Once again, if you're listening on iHeart, thanks again. Thank you again. If you're interested, the show is broadcast live on Beantown Breakdown. That's the
Best
YouTube channel name. Beantown Breakdown is the channel that we broadcast this podcast live on. So if you're interested in participating in the chat and coming and hanging out with us while we do the live show, you are more than welcome to if you're listening on iHeart. Also, JD, can you put the I-90 Sports put that channel link in there? So the I-90 Sports Talk YouTube channel is where my guy over here takes our show and basically chops the segments up. So if you're interested in just listening to a certain segment back, JD's channel, I-90 Sports Talk, I believe,
here it
is where you can find the chopped up and edited version of the show, where all the segments are basically their own video. So
absolutely.
And if you guys aren't, please, if you're not, please subscribe to that channel, because that is where, once again, we upload the edited version of the show, the chopped up edited version of it. But thanks again, guys. Once again, for anybody listening back on iHeart, me and JD greatly appreciate you guys. We always have a good time. The live crew is always live chats, always jumping. We appreciate the participation too. You guys give us a lot of different topics to talk about too, and that's always, always good to make sure that you guys feel like you're a part of the show, because
you definitely are.
We couldn't do it without you guys. So it is greatly appreciated. So once again, y'all, thank you to the iHeart crowd for listening. Thank you to the YouTube crowd for watching.
Thank you so much.
And we love you guys. Me and JD appreciate all of your continued support. We're out. Call of Duty after?
Call of Duty. Yes, sir. On Cheerio Plays. Call of Duty. Let's go.
All right.
Pew pew.
Once again, yeah, pew pew time. All right, we appreciate you guys. We love y'all. Thank you again for the iHeart crowd. If you're listening back to it, we love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Love you guys.
Me and JD are gone for tonight. Episode 20 in the books.
Episode 20.
Pats.
Bear down. Let's go, baby. See red. See red. We're gonna win it all. Let's go.
All right, we love you guys. We're out. Peace.
Peace.